Buddha once said that holding on to anger or resentment is like holding on to a hot burning coal and expecting the other person to get hurt. And we do this unconsciously sometimes without even realizing it. But when we hold grudges against somebody else or even ourselves, we're just keeping ourselves stuck in these negative patterns that we can't get out of. And it starts to affect our careers, relationships, and other different aspects of our lives. So it is very essential to forgive others. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 exact steps on how we can forgive others. So let's begin. Welcome back to this video. My name is Rab and I help people empower themselves. And in this video, I want to talk about why it is very essential to forgive others. And I also want to give my friend a shout out who's behind this video. So if you see a little bit different video, it's because of my friend Abhash, who's actually helping me film this. Resentment and anger are some of these trickier emotions which we feel really deeply in our core of our body. But what these do is they keep us stuck in these negative mental patterns because it kind of forms like a negative image of the world in our own minds. When I was like really young going to school, I had like this school bully who was constantly teasing me. In fact, one day when I was in the 8th grade, he even like beat me up in front of the entire class. And I was pretty much embarrassed. It affected a lot of decisions in my life. But to be honest, I hadn't been able to forgive this guy who did all these like nasty things to me in front of the entire class 10 years ago. And I was actually holding myself back when I was trying to form new relationships. But the thing was that after that incident, I was able to grow myself in other ways. For example, my confidence started to become really high because I had changed school after that. And when I went to a new school, I had this new form of identity. So it wasn't like all bad things that happened because of that incident. So I decided to forgive that guy to see what happens. So after that, I feel like I experienced a tremendous growth in my life just by letting that resentment and anger go. And in similar ways, you might be holding yourself back. Maybe you're angry at your parents or some people who did bad things to you. It could be verbally or physically. And when you start forgiving them, it just changes your perspective. And that's why forgiveness is very, very important, so you can experience growth in other areas of your life. So now let's talk about the 7 steps on how we can forgive others. The first step to forgiving somebody is bring that incident into your mind. Whether it is a time when somebody beats you or abused you in some way, or somebody told you really nasty things, just try to think of that incident and try to bring it into your mind. And try to think of how that person makes you feel, even if it's you who hurt you in some ways, and if you need to forgive yourself in this case. The second step is realize how it makes you feel, what kind of emotions it brings in you. So just try to notice it, observing in a very non-judgmental way, and try to notice the thoughts that come to your mind. Realize that everything that happened was in the past. Even if it happened maybe like a couple of hours ago, it's still in the past. Your mind is the one that's hurting yourself, and it's just keeping you stuck in this negative loop, this rumination that's going on inside of your mind. So it's best to let it go and just be in agreement with that, because until and unless you're able to let these thoughts go away, it's just gonna keep bothering you and your mind is gonna keep repeating these thoughts. Now try to think of the times when you have missed opportunities because you're holding on to resentment and anger because of these incidents. Maybe it was trying to connect to somebody new, or just trying to be in a partnership or relationships in any kind of aspects, also in your career. Because what resentment does is it keeps ourselves stuck in a kind of like a social dynamic when we're trying to form new relationships. So try to think of those things and try to write it down actually, so you can put things into perspective. All these things that these people did, even if you did to yourself, it was because of either ignorance or judgment. And just try to see that they weren't actually doing this because they intentionally wanted to hurt you, even if it feels that way, but they were just being ignorant and they didn't know how to act better. Try to think of the times when you yourself have acted very ignorantly and hurt somebody else without actually intending to do it, because you're maybe just cranky one day and you might have scolded onto other people. Understand that this is just a human experience and it happens to you as well as everybody else. No matter how bad the incident might be, those people might be more ignorant than us, but still it's just a human error that they might have done to you. Now, this next step is a very, very crucial step in the process of forgiveness. Write a letter to that person you're trying to forgive, even if it's you yourself, even if they're not around in this world anymore. Write a letter saying that you completely forgive them. Acknowledge the mistakes you think they've made, and just write a letter saying that you completely forgive them despite all this negativity that they spread out in your life for all these years. Putting pen down to your paper can be a really powerful process, and when you do this, you start to give more clarity in your mind. You're gonna start to see sometimes how silly these thoughts might have been, and you'll be able to forgive them more easily. It doesn't really matter if you are not able to deliver the letter. In fact, you can completely destroy the letter too. Doesn't really matter. The only thing we're trying to achieve out of this action is you trying to break free of all these chains of negativity. After you forgive the person that you're trying to forgive, or even if it's yourself in this case, you'll start to notice like a really freedom that comes into your life, and you start to feel more powerful. Now, the only thing that's left to do is choose a different course of action when you start to notice these same negative patterns continuing into your life, so you can break free of those and choose a new kind of action. And after you change your actions despite these negative thoughts, and that's when you'll break free of these anger and resentment, and you'll have forgiven these persons completely free from your life. Now, I hope you found this video helpful, guys, because when you are able to forgive somebody, like really truly from deep within your heart, you'll be able to experience so much freedom, compassion, and even more clarity in your life. That's why I wanted to make this video for you, because it has happened in my own life. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please feel free to do so right now, because I keep trying to put efforts into making these kind of like practical videos where you can apply these steps into your life to become a more empowered version of yourself. And with that being said, I want to wish you all the very best. Goodbye and namaste.